You're listening to The Dan Nicholl Show.
My guest on The Dan Nicholl Show this week is somebody who, almost 2 decades ago now, would have been a very firm choice to not have anywhere near the show, because like most of South Africa, I disliked him greatly. This arrogant kid who appeared to have a skunk attached to his head, wielding the bat for England and pretending to have an English accent, but not really getting it right, and generally just making himself very unpopular. Fast forward 20 years or thereabouts, and unashamedly I can say not only has he become a great friend, but he's somebody I admire enormously, not just Kevin Pietersen for the rather good cricket career that you've had, but for what the last couple of days have shown us, because the work that you and I have done together over the last few years, which I've had a lot of fun with, has been your new passion, and that is the world of conservation, which is why we find ourselves in the Kruger National Park having a pretty special few days. Welcome.
Look at the setting. We're on a train in Skakuza in the middle of the Kruger.
Which is very easy to do when people are listening to a podcast. Look at the setting.
It's a podcast. Okay, it's a podcast. Right, sorry, there are 3 cameras currently pointing in our direction.
You are forgiven.
But anyway, yes, when you've got buffalo behind you and you've got elephants carrying on just on the other side of the train that we're sitting on now, and we've been out dehorning rhino, and we're here to protect and try and conserve one of the greatest ecosystems on the planet. It's a special feeling. It's a very, very humbling experience, because we are wanting to be the voice for the voiceless, and we continue doing good things with great people, and that's been our motto ever since we started. It's been a brand new crew of people. Say 75% of them are new on this experience, and it's been one of our best. I think it has been one of our best, Dan.
And it's been a continuation of Kevin Pietersen 2.0 in terms of what drives you. And I remember the build-up to your Damascus moment. There was a cricket tournament in Johannesburg. Yeah. I was on the microphone annoying you enormously. Yeah. We still were not friends at that stage. And you went off to the bush after that. And we've had this conversation many times before. But I think the more you do what you do in conservation, the more you look back at the importance of that weekend away with Bouchy and a number of other guys who was so big on the bush. And at that stage, I think for you, the bush was a nice place to go, and animals were cool things to see, and that's kind of where it ended. And yet in the space of one weekend, genuinely there was that light bulb moment. Something changed inside you.
You're right. I've also got to be very thankful for a career that I had, and really, really appreciate what I'm able to do now if it wasn't for what I did previously. So you say about 2.0, 1.0 was pretty cool. I was lucky enough to do some amazing stuff, achieve some incredible things, both individually and collectively with the side. But the light bulb moment was being in the bush and getting to understand the brutality of Africa. And I was playing golf with another South African today who lives in Dubai, and he said, what's it like being South African in an England dressing room? And I was like, you're South African. And he's like, really? I said, yeah, you're South African. I said, just at the end of the day, you spent 20 years growing up in a country, you don't miraculously switch to being somebody that you're not. You've got to be true to who you are. And it was an incredible journey, 1.0. But 2.0, to use your words, has been something where I've reflected on the first part of my career, enabled that first part of my career to get me into the second journey, if you would like to say that, and using it to benefit more than just me. I think your cricket career, you talk and you play and you carry on and you get what you get, and you're an individual in a collective. But then when you shift into this kind of space, you're just a collective, and you're just a small part of a massive wheel that's turning and keeps turning, because you're doing this for the greater good. All the work that we do is for the greater good. There are people here, sorry, 1 second, there are people here that have nothing, but have the biggest hearts. And they want for nothing, but they just want animals to be safe. And yet we live in beautiful big houses and travel to the front of aeroplanes and think that our life's great. It can be on one level, but if your life's that great, then you have to look after the people that really care about this place, and that's what I do.
I don't think on one level people would be surprised by how you've approached what you do now, because everything you did in your cricket career, whether people liked you or didn't, they couldn't argue with the fact that there was loads of intensity in everything you did.
Yeah.
There was loads of purpose in everything you did.
Yeah.
And there was this flair in creative genius and moments of madness in what you did. And we see that now with Sarai, with your foundation, with the conservation space.
Yeah.
What might have surprised people, though, is that you chose to do it here in a country which you had a fraught relationship with when you left. And you've been very honest about that. It was a difficult time for you as a young Kevin Pietersen. But now you've come back and you've found something to fill that space. And for me, it's always fascinating with sports people when they say goodbye to such a big part of who they are.
Yeah.
You've got to find something to do that, and this is that for you.
Yeah, it's part of that. I was also not foolish enough to do crazy things with my money when I played, and I was lucky enough to earn enough to be able to at least set myself up and say, if you're careful and you know what you're doing, and you just keep being level-headed in that kind of space, then I should be okay. So there's managing your life on one side, but also then having purpose on another side. And the management of my life, and also thanks to Jess, I mean, she's just the best. She is absolutely
Well, basically, it's
incredible.
her success that's allowed you to be unemployed for the last few years.
Very true, very, very true. She's actually just off now going working, which is great. I'm just sitting here on a train in the Kruger.
Gin and tonic on a Friday afternoon.
She's off to work.
As she should be. I think my wife's in the office as well.
Yeah. So when it comes to making sure that you are in that position to help, when you're in that position to look after the second part of what you've got to do, you've got to make bright decisions at the start, and that's what I try to do. Like you say, there was foolishness, and there was. I mean, yeah, of course there was some crazy stuff, but there was a lot of method, and there was a lot of planning, and there was a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that no one ever sees, because I'm actually a very private person. I'm incredibly private. Yes, I've got a crazy in social media that I do or whatever, and get up to some stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that people don't see, which I think people don't need to see. I have a very strong foundation that I work from, and then all the other stuff is nonsense. So yeah, I've planned. I suppose that's the key to it. And being a sportsman finishing, you need to have planned, and you need to have the right people around you who also tell you this is wrong and you need to do this. And I've got a pretty good structure around me that can question stuff that I do, and I respect them.
You've also found a space that gives you this immense sense of reward. You got plenty of it during the cricket career, and I watch you when we're out in the bush. I watch you when we're doing the dehorning, when you're talking to the guys who are here on the ground, the rangers, people like Kathy, the head ranger, and those are not being polite conversations. There is genuine interest in what they're doing, but I've also seen a lot of hurt and seen a lot of sadness, because you've seen the reality of what is happening, and not just to the rhinos, but to the people in the community that is affected by that. And yeah, there is big brash Kevin Pietersen who hits everybody out the park, but there's a very different side of you that I've seen through the prism of conservation.
It's real, right? Sport's fake. You got to fake it to make it in sport. You got to make people believe that you're better than what you actually are. You got to put on this brave face. You can't play with emotion. You just got to be logic the whole time, right side of your brain the whole time. Whereas actually in this space, when you speak to the people, when you see letters that kids have written to their mum and dad about, I don't know if I'm going to see you, and how do I go to sleep tonight, when knowing that I might not see you ever again, and Daddy, are you coming home? Mummy, are you coming home?
And these are the rangers.
And these are the rangers' kids, the letters that I've seen through the work that we've done, and the privilege that I've had of going into these people's houses and speaking to them, speaking to real people, and having people crying on my shoulder because of how stressed they are and the emotion that they're going through. Having kids myself, you feel it. And it's not about playing Australia at the SCG, or playing against the West Indies at Lords, or playing South Africa in the bull ring. It's not like that. That's just bullshit. That's work. That's bravado. That's fakery, if that's even a word. This is real. This is really real. This is life and death. And I'm in a privileged position because of what I did before to be able to actually help these people. But knowing that they are real heroes. We're sporting people. We get paid money to do something that we love, fine, and all these other sports people do, but I'm really making a huge effort to spend more time with real people and hear real stories and help real people because of what good they do.
It's a big stage for Sarai, for your foundation, and what you're doing going forward. I want to come back to that at the end so people can find out how they can find out more and support and help. But 2.0 is not just about conservation, and it's very important to have some balance. You still have a big role in cricket, very important golf handicap, which I've experienced the wrong end of a couple of times in the last few weeks.
You did. Did you lose to me?
Comprehensively, we'll put it. Well, actually, I lost to your partner. You watched. You were rubbish.
Hold on a second. Did you lose to me?
Nikesh won.
Did you lose
and you
to
were
me?
his partner.
Did you lose to me?
I lost to Nikesh.
Did you lose to me? So you're saying that your partner lost to me? You don't want to bring that up. You don't want to bring that up, Mr. Nicholl.
Hello, Paul Harris. The golf is supplemented by the cricket, and it's still a big part of what you do. And I was watching this particular IPL, Delhi Capitals. I think it was very special for you because one of your childhood heroes, Faf du Plessis, involved, still going in his early 50s, nearly looking 25. But being back in there, you looked like you had a huge amount of fun being back in that team.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved being in a sporting environment where winning and losing really meant something. When you're commentating, it's okay, we're there for the day. We're obviously being professional in the arena and making sure that we, from what we've seen and what we've achieved and what we understand in the game, you can help the viewer understand and help the viewer give insight as to what might happen and what has happened and why it's happened. But there's no real emotion attached to a victory or a loss. It's you do your job and off you go. Whereas when you're sitting in the dugout, a win means something and a loss also means something. So having skin in the game in a dressing room and within what the result looks like is a cool feeling. I mean, I had it pretty good. We were 6 from 7 in the IPL. And we didn't win our next 7 games. We lost every game, and then we won our last game. So we had crazy highs. We then hit disastrous lows, and then we finished smashing Punjab in Jaipur a couple of Saturdays ago. So, yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved having skin in the game and having that emotion and just feeling the heart go on good and bad.
What you couldn't do, though, is what you did in your career, which is walk out with 800 needed off 11 balls and still somehow win it.
Yeah.
How difficult was that element?
It's hard. It's really hard when you're sitting there and you know what these guys are going through, and you see a situation in a game and you think, oh, this is ripe for the picking here. This is the place you want to play. Because I always like the big moments. I always like trying to do something and bring games back you lose in or win games from nowhere. And when we started losing in particular, there were stages in certain games that you sit there and you go, oh, where are the pads? Where are the pads?
If you'd put the pads on, do you think you could have done a job?
No. Absolutely not. I'm 44. I'm losing my eyesight, and I play way too much golf. So no chance. But mentally, you're engaging in that space because even though I couldn't physically do it, there are youngsters sitting around me, experienced players sitting around me, and I'm able to tell them and speak to them in a way in which helps them and guides them on their career. My career's over. I'm done. I'm finished. We're sitting here on a bridge. There's water under this bridge. I'm down by that rock over there 100 meters away from the bridge. That's my career. Done and dusted, finished. Yet there's guys that are starting and they're approaching the bridge that we're sitting on now. And their careers are going to flow under this bridge. And for me to be able to stop them at certain rocks under this bridge and say this and say that and say this and say that, and hopefully make the current not take them as quick through their careers, if I can use that type of analogy because of where we are sitting. That's what I loved. I absolutely loved it.
How much has the IPL changed the environment you saw being part of the team this year versus when you were still playing?
It's very serious business now. I remember Vera told me just before COVID, I was standing on the outground in Bangalore, and I was just talking about the IPL, and he was like, dude, the IPL is like the Champions League now. It is absolutely massive. Like, it is a really, really big thing. And you feel it in the rooms. You know it. You know how big the IPL is. Only once you're inside the dressing room again. You do see it as a commentator. Excuse me. You hear it as a fan. See it on TV. But when you're in the rooms and you feel the pressure, and it's not just a slugfest like it was 20 years ago, it means a lot. It means a hell of a lot.
It is done now for the year, but there's T20 cricket all over the world. There's Test cricket, and we saw that recently. You were part of the South African cheerleading team, unofficially.
Was that?
At Lords. It definitely came through from the commentary box.
No.
But there's so much to try and squeeze into a year. There's so much pressure on all the players. Are we nearing breaking point? Where does cricket go from here? Are we in a happy place?
I wish cricket could answer the question, but people have to answer that question. We seem to have been asking that question for a very long time. And just like people ask that question about South Africa, it's broken, it's finished, it's done, it's dusted, yet it just carries on. And it just manages to go. And it just, the wheel keeps turning. It's the same with cricket. The wheel just keeps turning. India started against England today. India were 90 for 1. I don't know if they won the toss. I've got no idea. We were on the golf course. But there's test match cricket now at Headingley. There was a Lord's test match. The T20 competitions are happening. Guys are making money there. Guys are making money in the international arena. The wheel just keeps turning, Dan. And you ask about a breaking point. What is a breaking point? I can tell you now, the players are happy because they're earning crazy money.
The games that we watch are myriad. It's not just cricket. There's golf, there's football, there's rugby. Given the choice, is Kevin Pietersen watching a test match, watching the Sharks play rugby, watching Augusta, watching Chelsea, or watching the 83rd wildlife documentary of the week as your wife tears her hair out and storms off to the garden?
Am I choosing out of all of those?
You are.
Oh.
In that 64-seater cinema you've got at home.
Yeah, rugby's up there. If the Sharks are playing, I watched it the other night. I found that. I watched that. I was disappointed, as all Sharks fans were, but I thought that our season was remarkable considering where we were last season. And a lot of influential people wrote the Sharks off at the start of the season. And when they won that cup last year, they said, wait for big rugby. And I think the Sharks... They did okay. To get to where they got to in the ERC this year, they did okay. So rugby, if rugby's on, I'll get it. I'll definitely get it because my boy will get it. Cricket I find very hard to watch a lot of just because there is so much of it. And I've watched so much of it and I've spent too much time doing it. But golf's the thing. Thursday to Sunday, yes, that tour, men or women, I'm on it. Sometimes when the women are on another channel and the men are on a channel, I'll just flick between the two because I just find them amazing. And I'm just always trying to learn, trying to pick up from maybe a female swing, if that can help me, or one of the male swings that can help me, or the short game. Like I'm channel hopping to try and see if there's some nugget that could actually make me a better golfer.
And you're already playing off +1. We are in danger here of verging into a 45-minute conversation on golf, which is always a problem when we start talking. So let me take you to a different passion then as we meander back towards conservation. And that's the people with whom you share a lot of that passion for conservation, because you have 2 kids. You're very private and protective of your kids, and I love that about you. We're very the same with ours. But what you have been very open about is that you've got 2 kids who, despite growing up in London, in the big city, are absolute bush cats. They love this part of the world.
obsessed, absolutely obsessed. My son is here at the moment shooting his new Sony equipment in the Kruger while we're playing golf and messing about. He wasn't going to miss the opportunity, so my parents have him at a camp here, and he's out. He's been for 3 days just shooting all the wildlife he can, and he just loves his photography. My daughter, we've had a couple of places here now. Since 2018, we built Umganu in 2018, and that was a passion project. And again, coming back to conservation, I'm always one of these people that likes to have skin in the game again, and I'll mention skin in the game because I could easily come back here and just say, oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that, and raise money. But I've actually put a lot of my own money into South Africa, like a lot of money into South Africa to build a home here. I've got a private house as well in the bush. And that's like my contribution to say, it can't just be me asking and me taking, it's me giving. So we're just, what's the word, obsessed with the bush. Landing in Skakuza on Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, whenever it was, and that smell of the thatch walking through the little terminal there, it just gets us, man. It just gets us. And it gets our whole family.
You're out the airport and there's a croc by the side of the bridge and there's an elephant strolling past.
It's a joke.
It's not quite the road from Terminal 5 into Wentworth, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. We get the occasional squirrel and woodpecker and robin. It's certainly not. It's not what this place is.
Your combined love of conservation and cricket has also brought you a love of India beyond just the game. Tell me a little bit quickly about the family trip you took to India to see the tigers, because from what I could see from the outside, through both your pictures but also Dylan's pictures, which were incredible, that looked to be remarkable.
India is an unbelievable country, and if you had asked me this question when I first went there in 2003 or 2004, I would have given you a different answer. I would have said just probably not the place to go. You won't have as much fun and you won't enjoy it. I'd say give it a few years and come back to me in a few years. And a few years have passed. 20 years have passed since I've been on my first trip to India. India is now one of the greatest places you can ever go. The infrastructure, the hospitality, the people, the places, the cities, the airports, the hotels, the cuisine. It's next level. Like, it is absolutely next level. And we went on a family holiday there last year. We had a couple of weeks in India. Started in Mumbai, went to Jaipur, and ended off in Ranthambore, in the national park there, looking for a tiger. What a place and what an experience. And what an animal the tiger is. Much bigger than the lion. The color. We had tiger at sunrise, we had tiger at sunset. We spent a lot of time with a few different tigers, and it's very hard to describe that moment, that first moment you see a tiger. And I can only describe it in one little story my little boy here. As I said, Dylan's taking photos. Well, he's not so little anymore, he's 15. But he's out here taking photos and he loves it. In our place in the Sabi Sands, I mean, a leopard falls out of every tree and the lions on every termite mound, and you're seeing the big five every 3 minutes. And so you're very lucky and you're very fortunate, and we never ever take it for granted. But the first tiger we saw in India, I asked, like, we all got up and we're like, we froze because it was just so majestic. And I said to Dylan, I said, did you get good photos? And he said, Dad, I couldn't take photos. He was shaking too much.
No.
He was shaking too much. He couldn't pull the trigger on his camera.
And this is a kid who's seen everything there is in Africa.
Seen everything there is in Africa. And you can ask him, when next time you see Dylan, ask him about the first time we saw a tiger and if he is able to click the camera. The thing was coming towards him up the road, and he couldn't click the camera.
Just too nervous.
Too nervous and too in awe of this creature.
So very similar, I suppose, to the first time Shane won bull to you, really, as a point of comparison.
Yeah. And McGrath. And Pollock. And Callis. And Murali.
That was them, of course, being nervous and in awe.
Poor bowlers.
Look, you've sold me on that India trip, and
You have to go.
I know you very kindly asked me to come over and do some fitness training for Delhi Capitals next year, so we're doing
We
that.
need a Pilates instructor.
I'm in. What giving me that recollection of the Tiger trip and the India trip does is not just tell me I want to go there and visit,
Yeah.
but also reinforces everything else, this deep-seated love of conversation. And anybody who might have been under the misconception, oh, this is just another celebrity looking for a cool space to lend the name to, it's well beyond that. There's anybody who's been bored to tears by you talking about Rhino will know. But it might also prompt people to go, well, hang on, if this means so much to Kevin, who could kind of do whatever he wants after cricket, he made obscene amounts of money, he's decided he would like to look at conservation because it means so much. You've now got this Sarai platform, you've brought everything you're doing together, the work here in South Africa, this formerly Respect Invitational that's now part of the Sarai family. All of this is working towards the common purpose of ensuring that not just Rosie and Dylan, not just Erin and Aidan, not just our children, but their children and their children can see rhinos and everything else in the wild in generations to come. So you're listening to this somewhere in the world. What can you do to be part of this movement, to either directly support Sarai or just to make sure that the right conversations are being had and that what we see as the future can become a reality through collective effort?
Very easy to answer, but I found it very hard to answer before we found a solution, because coming to places like this are very expensive. A lot of people who live in different parts of the world, you have a look at the price of an airplane ticket now. You also have a look at the price of how much it costs to stay in these places. Yes, there's a way in which you can cut on a lower budget, and there's also another way where you can spend a lot of money, as is any hotel, 3, 4, 5-star hotel. But a lot of people don't have the time to come. A lot of people are incredibly passionate about animal. They love animal. And so what we did is we set up a ranger program where it's a subscription model that if you go onto our website, www.oursarai.com, I think it's that. You'll have to make sure it's right. You're going to have to make sure it's right. We got a subscription there where for £1 a month, £1 a month, 20 Rand a month, 24 Rand a month, 18, what is it? Yeah, I mean, one pound is, I don't know, it's not even a lot of money. I walked into Lord's last week at the test match, and I'd been out with a couple of our friends that you know until 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had to do something at 9 o'clock live, and it was a very interesting approach to Lord's, not one that I remember. But what I do remember is walking through the gates and turning right because there was a coffee shop inside the gates of Lord's, and I said, I need the strongest cappuccino you can make for me, please. So no problem. Went to pay £6.10.
£6.10. That's big thousands money. Of rand.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So for £1 a month, we invite people to become rangers, and there you get information. There you get an annual a monthly newsletter. There you become a part of our human fence. And I'm a massive believer in a human fence. We can build all these electric fences we want. We can build all these the biggest gates, the biggest, as I say, security complexes. People will find a way to get in. But if humans join hands together to support a common cause, that is what I believe in. So it doesn't matter if you're listening to this in New York, Sydney, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, Cape Town, Durban, anywhere. Any corners of this planet, you can join and you can become a Sarai Ranger. So the Ranger program is online, and we set that up for this very purpose, that I kept getting asked questions by lots of people, how can I support? That is a way you can support.
You can't put a date on the end game. You can't say exactly what an end game is, but I will ask you broadly, because you and I have done the dehorning process together. Yeah. We've been in the helicopter, we've seen the darting. Yeah. Neither of us like it, but we understand the necessity. Yes. We've seen the very best of the bush, and this evening here at Kruger Shalati is a great example. We've also seen the worst of the bush, sadly, and the effects of it. Yeah. Can you look me in the eye and say, I believe that tomorrow will be better than today, and the future is one that we can genuinely look forward to for conservation in South Africa?
The reason, I mean, that's a big question. That's a very big question, and it would be a big statement to give an honest, not even give an honest answer, to give an answer, because I don't know whether it'd be an honest answer, because I don't know. All I do know is the animals are still being killed. All I do know is we were supposed to have a dinner 2 nights ago here, the opening dinner of the Respect Invitational that we hold out here in South Africa, and there was a table and a half of people missing from that dinner. And they missed the dinner because they were called into a conflict of rhino poachers. So it's happening on a daily basis. We're losing a rhino a day. We're still losing the battle. 1 rhino killed is too many, Dan. And so it would be very poor for me to say we're going to win the battle. It would be very poor for me to say we're going to lose the battle. So we keep doing what we do. And if it wasn't for the work that we actually do and the amount of money that we raise, I mean, we've raised a couple $100,000 in the last few days. If it wasn't for that, these places would be in a lot more trouble, because that also is a lot of rands.
It's a very honest answer, and I think it's the right one to give.
Yeah.
But I will counter it to a degree by saying that I can't, like you, with certainty guarantee that everything will be good, but
Yeah.
I can say that tomorrow will be better than today because of the work that the right people are doing. And that's not just you, but it's your ability to bring the right people around you.
Yeah.
And one of the joys I've had of being part of the Respect Invitational, being part of Sarai for a number of years now, is not just some seriously cool people who you brought along to be part of this, with the exception of Butch James, but that you brought people who perhaps didn't know so much about what is happening here,
Yes.
but they've left as ambassadors for South Africa and ambassadors for conservation.
Absolutely.
And I think that our human fence needs those poles that hold it all together, and those people are such crucial poles in what's being done.
Yeah, and I only have to have a couple of discussions here about the people who are at this event who've never been to South Africa before, and they're all now wanting to book trips to South Africa. I mean, I don't know, over the last 10 years, I'm not sure how many times I've sent people to South Africa. I couldn't even count the number of times people have come to South Africa of me saying it's the greatest place in the world.
Well, so I do, because they often arrive at my gate saying, Kevin said we could stay here with our family of 12.
You don't have that big a house, Dan. You don't.
Oh dear.
And you live in Joburg.
And I do. It's the most beautiful city in South Africa. Take that, Cape Town. The sun is setting over the train here at Kruger Shilati, and it is absolutely glorious.
So can I go now?
It's
enough of you.
the sun is also setting on this event.
Yeah.
Thanks for being part of the show. Thanks for including me. But a genuine thank you. I've said this a number of times, but it's a really important one for me. Your cricket legacy is established. You're one of the modern greats, and you tell us regularly. But where for me the defining Kevin Pietersen legacy will be, and that's not to demean the cricket at all. It is in conservation, and in 10, 15, 20 years time, and again, I think I said this the other night on stage, people will remember Kevin Pietersen the cricketer, but they will never forget Kevin Pietersen the conservationist, and I genuinely feel that is your proudest achievement.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you. That's very kind. I don't know if you mean it.
Well,
how do you know Dan's talking rubbish? He opens his mouth. So
Well,
I don't know if we can just finish it then. You can just tell me you meant it.
we're going to be editing that out, and I'll redo the end once we're done. It's been an absolute pleasure. A very special guest on the Dan Nicholl Show this week, a great friend of mine, a great member of the cricket community, but far more importantly, an absolute champion for conservation in South Africa, Jessica Pietersen's husband.
You're listening to The Dan Nicholl Show.